afternoon, my friends. So today we're doing UFO, Jack Perrin, chapter 26. Just putting some music. Tansy, my friends. Hello, my awesome sister, Mama Bear. Hello, Chu X. Hope you're having a great afternoon. We're doing a UFO case today called Extraordinary Case of Teletransportation in Rhodesia. Okay, so let's start, my friends. Okay, so this incident took place on the night of the 30th to the 31st of May of 1974 during a journey that Peter and Frances, his wife, were doing from Salisbury to Durban on Christmas, South Africa. So Christmas must be a place. It's not the time. It's not the date. It's a place in South Africa. Okay. And they passed through Fort Victoria and Beit Bridge. The young couple was very disturbed with the experience, but because they didn't give much attention to the phenomenon after it happened, they have never read any book about the subject. They didn't know where to go and to start exposing their sighting. Peter was a young man with not very common qualities, like we will see further. He had had in earlier times an experience with a UFO. So one day after they got back to their country, about 5 days passed, and he read the journal called Natal Mercury. Translated is Christmas Mercury. This article about the UFOs talking about this subject with very seriously. So they got into contact with the journalist. His name was Bill Fail, that heard them and put them in contact with the original person of this case, which we're talking about now. So on the 28th of November of 1974, this young couple completed their testimony on the observation, and this was already represented by MUFON, a correspondent from MUFON that went to South Africa on the 1st of December, and they interviewed him at their house in Durban. So he has a very detailed interview, and that's why we're gonna go right now. So on the 30th to the 31st of May, 73, there weren't any clouds, and the visibility was not very good, but still there weren't any clouds. And at about 100 feet, you could see the moon, and it wasn't uncovered. So this is the testimonies of the police. Um, these happenings started in a place 10 kilometers south of Umvuma. When both testimonies saw the policeman, uh, or at least they thought, sitting on the side of the road with an emitter receptor in his hand. That's what Peter thought. So that's what he thought he had on his hand. He was driving his Peugeot 404 at a velocity superior to 100 kilometers per hour, about 80 miles an hour. This street is known for having a policeman there checking out for the fines, and he slowed down, and he thought as well as his wife that it was a policeman sitting on the sidewalk. So he noticed that the uniform was a little bit too metallic aspect, a little bit too extravagant for a policeman. So even though they use a khaki, but his wife thought that he had a face a little bit too plastic. She turned back, but she didn't see anything. So, a little bit further ahead, they saw about 2:30 in the morning. She certified about the time because she thought it was the light of any house situated in the column, in the mountain. So she looked at the clock, and she thought it was too late so that the lights would still be on at this time, of the world. She also thought that it could be a post of signaling. The light looked like one of those lighthouses. The light was very strong, and it would turn off and turn on alternatively. This source of light would start on the opposite side of the steering wheel of the car. It looked like it was very close, giving an impression that it was following the same velocity parallel to the car. So for a few moments they were interrogating themselves. So if it was a helicopter, because it was emitting a huge blue light, strong and knitted for about 5 seconds, with two pauses of 2 seconds. So guys, you can see that this is very detailed. Good afternoon, Suspicious Skies, Orb Man, UK, Gate Smasher, Big Chief, big hugs, my brothers. Electromagnetic effect. Following this, the lights of the car starting to get weaker. He noticed this detail even though he was traveling at about 140 kilometers per hour, the maximum that the car could go, until it got completely dark. The radio continued to work perfectly. They were listening to a jazz program of Lorenzo Marx in Mozambique. Guys, just a little bit of a pause here. Lorenzo Marx in Mozambique is where my grandfather lived for many years when he was in his band of jazz band. So this takes me there. And the parents of a big friend of mine, they were also in Mozambique in the 70s, and they also saw a UFO there. Okay, a big mothership. It's on my UFO playlists, UFO reports. So Peter now, he notices that the car is all involted in a big light, like a neon light, enough to produce shades. Because they were driving, they started to feel that the temperature inside the vehicle was starting to reduce very suddenly. It was more than abnormal, given the station, I given that they were in May, in spring, and they had some blankets, and they wrapped themselves in the blankets, and they turned on the heating that was working as well as the radio. Um, they say that the lighter, the lighter of the car was working perfectly because the motor started perfectly. Um, Peter, after a while, took his Peter, after a while, he took the foot off the accelerator, but the car continued to accelerate, even going faster. They even got to the 150 kilometers per hour. It's about 130 miles per hour. It looked like the battery was with enough potency, and the radio and the lighter were working normally, linked to the battery. Everything was fine. Inside the car, the cold was the worst thing. For several times, Peter has drove this street, and he never caught these sudden low temperatures. They felt like they were inside a fridge, and he calculated that the temperature would be between 20 and 30 Fahrenheit negatives, so between 11 and 13 Celsius. So now we are here on 12 Celsius, guys. So we are about 20 Fahrenheit now here. Hello, George. Big hug, brother, to Bosco. And vision to as well to you, Orb Man. Um, he says that he thought he was being driven by an automatic pilot. Peter was interrogated about this detail about the acceleration of the car. Even before he took the foot off the accelerator, he confirmed him that he had driven the car until about 18 kilometers of Fort Victoria. Wait a second, guys. Tô?
Tô.
Estás a sair?
Tô a sair agora.
Ok.
Já.
Vá, beijinho. Love you. Até já. Okay, guys, sorry. It was my wife. She was leaving work. Okay. So he was about 18 kilometers from Fort Victoria where he wanted to put petrol in the gas station. Um, but he never had brakes or lights or any other control over the car. He couldn't even turn his steering wheel. The velocity was maintaining itself at about 160 kilometers per hour. I made him see that if he took his foot off the accelerator, he couldn't avoid the paralysis. And he answered that he never had paralysis because he would turn off his cigarettes and he had his movements free. He even said that he took the foot off the accelerator for once, and he was very uh, um, surprised by his girlfriend's reaction, and so that he didn't want to get her even more scared. So because she was getting into a hysteria crisis, so he wasn't. He was trying to control his girlfriend as well, guys. So he was trying to control the whole situation. His girlfriend says the car looked like it was completely controlled and well conduced. Um, so it was being driven well, she says. She couldn't see anything in front of her. Francis was on the seats on the back. The car wasn't balancing nor drifting. The driver was well seated without doing anything, like it was linked to a automatic pilot. Peter says, I looked to move the steering wheel, but I couldn't. But I couldn't even think about it. It was petrified. It couldn't move. But Francis told me, how could you remain so calm? And Francis says, oh, says he, it's just a UFO. And I answered him, what are you gonna do now? And he answered me, what do you want me to do now? Oh my god. Okay, so the solitary UFO passed on the left side of the automobile, from the left side to the right side, during a kilometer approximately, and afterwards it passed again to the left. It accompanied us until a few more kilometers before Victoria, more or less the time that they passed the gas station. They saw what they thought it was an African bus, but without anyone inside. And normally these buses are always full of passengers and full of luggage and bicycles and birds over the top. Many passengers don't abandon the bus, not even for a minute during all the journey, so that they can rest in the back seat, um, and so that they don't lose the eyes over their belongings. The lights, the car lights, everything was on, but there wasn't one cat inside. Very strange, guys. This is very strange, guys. Thought Francis. The first bus was on the left side of the road, and it was following the same direction as they were following. The bus further ahead had the lights and all the other car lights on. The motor was working and it was stopped on the other side of the road, on the opposite direction. This bus was 7 kilometers from the first bus. They even found a third bus 5 kilometers ahead, Both were disoccupied and parked on the side of the streets. One thing One thing the Rhodesian bus drivers never do, because they are very heavy. They have very heavy fines to the owners of this transgression. So if one a bus is damaged, they should put a red triangle on the road, and this wasn't the case. So this is the same here in Portugal. Hello, Terry brother, big hugs. Michelle sister, big hug, my awesome sister. So here in Portugal is the same, guys. If you don't put the triangle like 30 meters behind the direction you're going, you will have a fine from the police, even though it was during the night. So maybe at night they may be a little bit more relaxed, but still, guys, it's still very weird. Um, so this couple were very interested in one of these buses because it was transporting a lot of merchandise destined to the firm where the girl worked. So one of these buses, this girl worked for the industry. There was a light beam coming from the UFO, even to the horizon, or vice versa. So when they were about 10 kilometers from Victoria, the UFO shot like a shooting star. At 4:30 in the morning, they got to the garage of Fort Victoria without lights. Peter turned off the motor, and 1 hour later, he turned it on again, and it was perfectly working, just as the lights. The lights were perfect now. Uh, the car service worker noticed that there was some damage on the lights. Even though he was working on the car, the girlfriend was wrapped in blankets and jackets. She made an observation about this very cold night. The indigenous worker of this car station had slept next to the car to the gas station, only dressed with a little t-shirt. He looked at her, and he looked at her surprised and said that it wasn't that cold that day. Why that night? Why was she wearing so much clothes? The car where they were was very comfortable. Where they came back, and they went to the hotel, and they looked for a place to have some warm coffee. They left Fort Victoria for about 5:30 in the morning. So 10 kilometers after Fort Victoria, Francis alerted Peter once again that she found a UFO at their left. After a second UFO went and stationed itself just above the car, guys. Freaking weird, guys. These UFOs don't leave them alone tonight. Um, they were much smaller, they say, or they were much higher. This time, they didn't come from behind a little mountain like the first time. In a open closing and opening of their eyes, the left UFO was just there. They just adjusting their velocity to the velocity of the car. Their lights were fixed and without intermittency. One weird aspect on this journey was the fact that the policeman, supposed policeman, and the indigenous worker at the gas station in Fort Victoria, they didn't remember seeing anyone else during the whole journey, not even other cars, not even the African buses that they saw parked on the side of the road. Um, Peter also says that on that road is very busy usually with a lot of traffic. Usually on the days of very intense heat, the people prefer to travel at night. Even though this happened before a holiday, the National Party, and this was a very main road in south of Africa, so there should have been much more traffic. Now, they're continuing their journey and they arrive to one of the most bizarre places that they ever been. Uh, Frances fixed her attention on the UFO, but she remembers having seen a lot of bushes and a lot of green weeds, and the ground looked like it was moving, which was very strange because on this region the vegetation is dispersed with a few trees and rare big wooded areas. It's a very thick and dry soil. Her boyfriend Peter was even more precise. He said that there were extensions. Uh, there were big water extensions at the surface where there was light from which their light was reflecting. This light was the same tonality as before. The car lights were working normally and they were illuminating the foliage that Peter could see very clearly. The road was very dry, but the sides of the roads were a little bit humid and wet. There was a lot of water because it's tropical vegetation. Francis also noted that usually on that place there's a lot of noise and constant noise of the you know those insects at night that do a lot of noises, the hoppers, the help me out guys, hip hoppers. No, I cannot remember. We call them here in Portugal, we call them grilos. Okay, so they do very nice noises at night in the vegetations. Um, okay. So this time there wasn't any noise, guys. It was completely silent. Um, and not even the noise of the motor, not even the insects, the birds, nothing, guys. They couldn't hear any noise, guys. Very weird. Very strange, guys. Um, it was like a dream. Um, the only noise that they could hear was the radio. Nothing else, guys. After they left Fort Victoria, They were driving at about 120 kilometers per hour. Now, they started to drive at 190. Wow, this is very fast. Or even further, because the needle of the of the kilometers had already fixed the maximum of the indicative of the car. So he says that he wasn't doing any action on the car, even at 200 kilometers per hour. The car didn't show any signs of drifting on the slightly wet, um, road, rolling perfectly. He admits that he lost his reason. He started thinking that he was going a little bit crazy, guys. He was trying to ignore the phenomenon, convincing myself that it was just an optic illusion. But even though I had noticed that I had lost complete control over the car, it was like somebody else was driving for me. Even I didn't move my arms anymore. I was petrified by fear. I couldn't drive any longer. That's why when I tried, none of the commands would respond to him. I think that I could have even gone to the back car seat and hang out with my girlfriend there. Um, Even though the roads were far from being completely perfect on that night, he was perfectly. Peter felt that it was completely. So basically, guys, I think they were okay, guys. I think it's even more even though, right? 200 is a lot, guys. In a motorbike, 200 is like scary, guys. Um, so he noticed that the road was sleek, like it was glassy, guys. He says that the road was perfect until 3 kilometers of Bait Bridge. Uh, Both of them say that they were a bit confused with the lack of the normal beauty of the stormy Rhodesian weather. Not even any rose color of the sky that there's usually before a storm. There wasn't shadows from the sun. It was all very gray clear. Peter turned off his car lights. Both UFOs were still very visible, one of them a bit higher than the other one. There was no sign of visible of any life, even human life, outside of the car. Francis fell asleep at 6 o'clock, more or less. Um, she also says that immediately before she fell asleep, they stopped having sound from the radio. Until there, until then, they didn't change their mood. And they were surprised and they asked them if they came from the North Pole. In that moment, the radio started working and the signal and the clocks confirmed that it was 7:30. The UFOs had now disappeared and the sun was shining around them like normal. but they couldn't remember of having seen the sun rise. Even Peter suggested that the UFOs had vanished, no, had appeared and vanished very quickly. All of this information is a bit vague because don't forget that the subjects uh, kind of were traumatized and they kind of fell asleep for 1 hour. Human data, good to see you. Um, so the details are a little bit fuzzy. The following kilometers, Peter was surprised that looking at his kilometer gauge, he noticed that he had put it to 0 before he left Fort Victoria and it was only marking 17 kilometers. Meanwhile, the distance between Fort Victoria and Baitbridge is about 288 kilometers. He had noted as well that he put petrol station in Fort Victoria and he noted that he had to put petrol station again when he arrived Baitbridge. So when he went to put petrol station on the city, the his deposit didn't take more than 2 liters, which corresponds to the quantity of gas used between Fort Victoria and the place when he was kind of taken from the UFO for the second time that night. It was a good conclusion, but for a night of um, nightmare. Hello, D. Nice to have you. Okay, so this is the drawing, guys, that he made. Okay, this is a drawing. He's the first observation of July of 1964. So this one is the first one before, not these ones that we're talking. This one is 1973. Okay, this is the drawing that he made. Interesting, guys. Okay, on his report, Peter adds that there's an important note. They say that on that night when the UFOs intercepted him, which was July of 1964. Okay, wait a second. Okay, this is the first report. Now we're gonna talk. On 1964, he saw UFO, which he already banished from his memory. He made a drawing about the object that he saw that time. I asked him the details about that happening. He said that it happened on the outskirts of Shabani. He was driving with his dad on his um, on his van. He usually misses school once in a while to help his fathers on the deliveries along when they're the big journeys. He was driving. He was following on a road that goes from Guelo to Shabani through Seleque. There was over there a declive after a little curve. When we got out of that curve, there it was, a meter above the streets. It had the size at about 20 meters of side by side. It it lifted off like a bus, leaving behind traces of red smoke around us in a sort of red cloud. The interviewee asks us, Did your father saw it?" "Yes," he answered, "but my father forgets these kinds of things. Uh, he didn't want to meet them. says Peter. Um, Francis says he didn't want to meet them. Did that cause a big surprise on your father? And Peter says yes. Uh, Me and my father as well, even though he never had much talked about it. The thing was about 6 to 9 meters in front of us. It dislocated itself in a certain angle, and we passed right below it. It was grayish metal with some black parts where he thinks that the black parts was where the motor was, or the exhaust. The red dust got glued to the car for several days, looking like it was part of the painting of the van. What time was that? I never heard of that story. It was day or night. It was about 1:30, 1 hour and a half in the afternoon. Um, Francis, my lord, Peter, we were about 120 kilometers per hour. We saw it and it vanished immediately. We braked on the car. My father was able not to drift on that road. I The interview says I can see that. Where was Shabani on the map? Um, Over here, the land where we were is a zone, is a area of aerial of iron, and it's rich on other minerals such as gold and diamonds. The metal used on the basis of construction of American spaceships provane from these regions. Over here, there is everything. Okay, so Peter is saying here that on this land in South Africa, there is a lot of minerals, and many of these minerals they're sold to America to make American spacecrafts that provane from this region. So these seems to be like all secrets. Can you see, guys? So keep these secrets in mind when you see a UFO, because it may not be otherworldly. Okay, guys. Um, you said that you erased this first sighting from your memory. Peter says it's true. It was my father that asked me. He says, "Don't talk to anyone about what he saw." Uh, did you talk to him about his last encounter? No. He's a brilliant man when it says respect to psychic things, but he doesn't interest himself on unknown things. When it was your sighting in 1964, Peter and his dad was transporting equipment of electronic computer. After the adventure, they noticed that all of the lamps had broken, and they had to substitute them. Peter inserted on his report some of the words about these astral travels, and I asked him to tell me about these specific points. He told me that he had the habit of going in astral traveling until 4 or 5 years ago. Um, he started practicing them when he was about 14 years old during puberty. He abandoned doing these astral travels straight away after he met his girlfriend, that she didn't like those things. There was one night that I had a terrible shock because my boyfriend was sleeping and suddenly he was going. Well, I want to mean that he looked like he was dead, because he stopped breathing, but his skin was like, I almost could see through his skin. It looked like transparent. Can you hear this, guys? It looked like it was translucid. I understood then that he was astral traveling because I felt that his breathing was very weak. I understood that instead of waking him up, it was better to leave him all by himself, and 10 minutes later, he would sleep normally. After 10 minutes, usually he would go back to sleep normally. I woke him up straight away and told him uh, after that night, she says that it never happened to him again. Turning to Peter, I don't know what happened after. I never asked you again. When was he astral traveling? Do you have conscience of it? What united it to your body? Peter says yes. And this recent extraordinary experience, Peter says, it's exactly the same sensation of what when we abandoned our body. Just like the initial stage where we relax, we prepare yourself, kind of meditate yourself for the astral travel. It was then when I felt telepathy, auto hypnosis, etc. Guys, freaking interesting, guys. You can see that with with this story, guys. You can start trying this before you sleep, and I can tell you that I have been trying this for some years before I go to bed. Okay, guys? Kind of a meditation. Okay, so Peter, on his declaration, says that his telepathic powers accentuated after the experience of 1974, 30 to 31st of May. But his power of concentration and comprehension of things greatly increased. I asked him with that age if he had noticed that his powers of telepathy. Peter says, in adolescence, when I was 14 years old, I discovered that I could do these things: astral travel, auto hypnosis, and mental telepathy. Things that go over the capabilities of normal kids. I used telepathy to attract, such as reunions with friends, but in a rudimentary way. Not having developed this kind of skill, now I lost it. I'm gonna talk a little bit, guys, but let me just finish this. The interviewee says, could you still do an astral travel? Peter says, no, I tried it, but it's gone. And you, Francis, is your great memory? Francis says, yes, I can read a chapter before an exam and after remember it, almost word by word, but now everything's gone. So guys, can you see that Peter, when he was a child, he had powers, guys. And guys, remember that kids, when they're young, they have a very big capability of convincing other kids, convincing the parents, And what happens, guys, is sometimes you may be with your kid and you hear them talking and they're not talking with you, but you hear them talking. That's their intention, guys. And that's what this guy is talking, guys. Intention, you can transform it into something palpable. Okay, guys? Think about positivity. If you think about positivity, you can make positivity turn real into something palpable, whatever you want. Even though Francis used his power maybe to attract his girlfriend. Hello, Lord, good to see you. Hope you enjoyed this story. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so now we're gonna go back to the car. Some more details. Peter describes um, a lack of wearing of his tires of his car. After this experience in 1974, what could he say exactly? For the journey, he used old, cheap tires. His intention was to buy Michelin tires, new, for his car straight after he arrived. But in Rhodesia, the tires costed $600, the four tires, Rhodesian dollars. And here I can buy them much cheaper. Straight after, there were no reason to buy tires because because basically he thought that he didn't have to buy new tires. Who he just asked to you know put the layer inside. We call them recalchutar. I don't know how what you call them in English, but it's kind of put a layer over the inside of the. Wait a second, guys. I need to answer this. Tô linda. Tá, mas chegas a tempo de ir à música? Ok, então. Vão lá então, até já então. Eu estou a fazer aqui uma história no canal. Okay, guys. Sorry about this. Damn, guys, where are we? Okay, this story is getting very confusing. Okay, so basically he kind of lined his tires instead of buying new tires. But because of this kind of abduction teleportation, he says that it could be a mistake to buy new tires earlier. So he says that, oh my God, oh my God, guys, this is a very strange stuff, guys. Uh, Basically, he says that he done 7,000 or 8,000 kilometers with these tires, and they are like they were when he repaired the tires. And as well, this guy liked to do some drifting and sports driving. And one day he drove his car to a drive-in, and he he did all the things you can do with a car, spin it and all the stuff. And the car was completely fine, guys. The tires were better basically. So very strange stuff here. Um, he says that he's been always afraid of the tires because on the street, on the South African streets, they're not very safe, but they're usually in good state, and they have to spare the money wherever they can. Okay, let's go. This is not very interesting. Sure. Okay, so now he's talking about the specifics of the car. Okay, so this is a bit dull, and it's not very interesting. Okay, so next stage. At the end of the interview with this young man and this young couple, I had a big suggestion to give them if they wanted to do hypnosis season, and this interviewee could organize it because he had a doctor friend that he could do that. They accepted, and that would be their next session. Okay, so now guys, now we're gonna go for the hypnosis session, which is about 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it's 4 pages. Okay, guys. So we're probably gonna do this now. The 4 pages of the detail. Um, this is gonna take maybe like half an hour. Okay, guys. So if you want to do a little break or something. um, so this okay guys, so we're gonna do the hypnosis, but what we're gonna do is I'm gonna get a cigarette and we're gonna do that outside, okay guys? So I can smoke a little cigarette. In this love, in this love. In this love, in this love. We're about 12 kilometers of Fort Victoria when we saw 2 objects, 2 crafts together. One was about 85 degrees further apart, and the other one was about 90 degrees directly over the car, at about 200 to 300 yards over the right. It was emitting beams of light towards us, or like rays of some species. I'm not sure what it was. It gave the car an orientation complete for it, like the car felt a magnitude, direction, the control, the velocity, the capacity of maneuver, the lights of everything. Even for a moment, the car was telling me what I should do. Like I should do it, to smoke a cigarette, to light the cigarette with a lighter, to change the button on the radio from LM to another radio station. It was then that I heard some voices on the radio. it was looked like a Lorenzo Marx station radio. It was direct signals, even from above us, sent from the spaceship to our radio. Oh my god, guys, this is so freaking interesting. I'm shaking all over. It's a little bit cold as well, okay? Okay, the signals were direct, even above us, sent from the ship to our radio, which would communicate impulses to the car and to the. I tried to fight that all the journey with this simulated screen that was put in front of my windscreen on the window lateral windows and the behind window of the car. This came, I don't know from where. We made the whole journey, even from the road, but not always we were on the road. We went in straight line from Victoria, Fort Victoria, to 3 kilometers before Fort Victoria, Great Bridge. After we went back to the road, and the two objects went to about 2 to 3 miles up, right above us. This is summarized what happened, but more details, more details. The doctor says, relax, Peter. You can remember everything you want to say. Say it. What are those details, Peter? What do you want to tell me about those Peters? Is there any more details, Peter? Peter answers, we were programmed inside the car. My wife fell asleep or was felt asleep by the radio. It was the voice of them. Because of that, she cannot remember what happened inside the car. Then, this form was projected directly over the back seat of the car, and there it was seated for the whole journey. It told me that I would see it if I wanted to see it, inside and outside of him. I would see simply whatever I wanted to see. If I wanted to see him as a duck, I would see him as a duck. If I wanted to see him as a monster, then I would be a monster. I don't know what they done because I really don't know. It should try to remember myself because I have they. Okay, the doctor says, okay, them. Peter says, there are missing only 7 seconds to find out what I have communicated with the past. And I was able to control my spirit until I got to those post-hypnotic suggestions. They erased this so that I couldn't be hypnotized and tell what really happened inside the car. I cannot remember. They were malignant. Okay, I can't. They were malignant. I never went to their craft, but I could see through the luminous beam. What was that, Peter? Tell me. Peter says there was 3 levels. The lower level, that was the propulsor. The second level, which was the motor and the compartment inside the resting room, and communications, and some bedrooms. On the superior level, it was the complete air quadrant. Okay, so it was the control room, the top part. Okay, interastral. The it was connected by 2 channels over a vacuum. the people would go inside the tomb and it would be elevated to the level indicated. The dislocation inside of the craft was done by aspiration and vacuum. The aspiration inside the tube had about 80 or 90 feet, 24 to 25 7 meters of diameter, for about 60 feet, 18 meters of height. He couldn't say how much was the maximum load of the craft. Um, he says that there was an impulse right below so that it would stabilize and simulate the outside environment, um, to dissimulate completely what's happening on the outside. It's like a empty space. Okay. The entities. What was their aspect, Peter? How were they? Peter says, they were as I desired them to be. They were like ducks. Even though I wanted them to be. But didn't they have any other shape? Any other real form? Didn't you imagine anything else? Peter said, they're physical beings. They don't have a solid form, but when um, do they appear between themselves to be solid? Peter answers that those that went inside the craft, they were all identical in the craft. And how were they? He then says, um, okay, wait a second, guys. Let's go to the living area. It's a little bit cold here. Damn, this is getting freaking confusing, guys. Very, very confusing. I'm gonna have to catch this story where it's a little bit more. Not as confusing, guys. Mushroom Manny, big hugs, my brother. Okay, so where were we? Mm. So they say that he says that they were all the same, that they were inside the craft. Um, the shape and form was similar to humans, with a large bust, large head, neck. They were kind of bald with two arms and two legs. There were no form of reproductive organs. How do they reproduce? I don't know. Where did they come from? Peter said, exterior galaxies. Which exterior galaxies? They didn't tell me the name, they only told me exterior galaxies. Are they friends of the humans? Peter says, yes. The doctor, are they Pacific, or they are Pacific? Then why didn't they contact directly us? Why do they have these great powers? Peter says, there are 2 billions of people that do not understand them and wouldn't know how to approximate themselves to them, to look at them, talk to them. Uh, can't they make the humans understand? Peter says, no, because for that they would have to change the world and they don't want to change it. Do they believe in God? Peter, do they believe in God? Peter says, no God. So they don't believe in God. Peter says, none of God's. So what do they believe in? They believe in the infinite. They believe in immortality. But Peter says they're very advanced. Are they immortal? Peter says no. Are they mortal? Do they die? Peter says yes. How long, in according to our age in Earth years, do they live? Peter says, I don't know. Doctor, where can they travel, Peter? Which velocity? Can they dislocate quicker than the speed of light? They travel through time and not through light. Travel through time. What do they mean by that? They can travel through the middle of time. The velocity of the light is slower to to go through billions of miles in seconds. If they want to go from point A to point B, they must go back on time to get to Earth. From when from when they go back over time to get to Earth, they go back over the time. So they're time travelers and not space travelers. The doctor says, how do they speak? Do they speak or communicate directly? They mentally, they know English perfectly and know all the languages, each language of the galaxy. Do you mean that they have a perfect knowledge of the universe, a knowledge of all the universe, but us on the conglomerate of the galaxies, we are the format of a head pin, a pinhead divided by a billion. Um, which world do they come from? The same as where us? Is there oxygen? They live on 12 planets of the Via Lactea. So they are not very far away, guys. They are on the same galaxy as us. On the Via Lactea is the Lactea Way. Oh God, I don't know this word. Via Lactea. The Milky Way. Okay, they come from 12 planets in the Milky Way. And they do not fight there. There are no wars because they're 2,000 years in advance from us. Therefore, they're missing 2,000 years for us to get to them. The doctor would understand wrong and would follow a wrong point of view. Peter's 2,000 light years. What do they mean, Peter, about that land? Do they come in peace? Will we survive? Peter says they're gonna change the land, the earth, like they changed the pyramids. They have changed the wars, midific- midificated everything, introducing their way of acting. Doctor says, how will they do that? Peter says, I don't know. Okay, guys, so this is weird, okay? We cannot associate this because we know that, you know, the government wants to change a lot of things in the skies and, the land and the skies, everywhere they can, in the water. I hope they're not, I hope if they're being done by being told by somebody, it's being told by somebody that wants to help the humankind, right? And not destroy us. Infiltration. Tell me, Peter, is there any of those beings living between us and not noticed? Peter says thousands. Are they between them, us? Peter says they are office workers, dactylographers, men of business, university students, conferencists, um, cantoneers, etc. Peter, if you want to contact them and you want to obtain their knowledge, will they give them to me? Peter says they contact only when they wish and influencing only others. They do not do anything directly over the land so that they're not put under check or call to them the attentions. They influence, they project, and they direct whoever they want to. Going forward, somebody that believes that is praised. The humans survive due to the grace that we give to each other, and they become respected and elected, even if he's a good or a bad person. Can you see that, guys? Hello, Pinzer, my sister. Good to see you. Okay, guys, I'm gonna repeat this. They contact only when they wish, only influencing others. They do not do anything directly over the land, not to put themselves under check or call attention to themselves. They are the ones that influence, project, and direct any that wishes to go above the others. Someone that believes that someone will be praised, will be esteemed. The humans survive due to these praises we do to each other. Due to these, you become respected and elected. Even he is one or the other, anyone can be that person, even if they're good or evil. Okay, guys? End of the taping was transmitted, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes, okay, so next question. Peter, tell me, were you programmed? Peter says, yes. And they don't mind that you talk? Peter says, no, they want me. And there's people here that believe in them and believe in their actions so that the whole humanity shall understand them. How do they warn each other? What is the combustible? Any of there it is, Peter says, I don't know. Then Peter says, they believe in immortality. Doctor says, Peter, do they believe in immortality, in reincarnation? Do they believe in us, terrestrials? Will we leave our body and our soul? Peter says, everything is programmed by them. They are God in our eyes. They can incarnate in any of us, one or each body after the death. They do it by coming back to earth, but they cannot do that automatically. It must be inseminated, conceived, has to pass through the process of birthing, the school, the education. But we are all programmed. Peter, the doctor says, Peter, if we don't want to be influenced by them, how will they act against our will? Peter says, no. The doctor says, and if we wish their help, can we ask them help sincerely? Peter says, no. You should ask help to God. But you told me that they don't believe in God. They are God for us. Peter says, they are God for us. because man should have a goal, an objective, looking at the sky, at the up there. The man should grab onto a leaf of a bad weed to survive. The doctor says, don't they have laws to govern them? Superior laws to them? Peter says, the question is good. Like we are late about 2000 year lights in relation to them, they are also about 2000 light years late in relation to other beings. Doctor says, is there any universal spirit, any intelligence, undefined, any universal law that commands them? Peter says, no, everything is separated. There is individual entities, the 12 galaxies, our sun, and our land. Tell me, Doctor says, tell me, what are the big masters here on earth? The yogis obtain big powers of the masters. They say they contacted with God. These say that God is universal and the force in all of its parts. Does this mean that the force is superior to them? That is exactly proving that they are not God. The doctor says, uh, uh, sincerely, do you think they are God? Peter says, they make God,
Combate a tosse seca a partir de 15
they
minutos
make
ou
their
dissolve o
God
sumo.
noticed for sure some contradictions, such as that the origin of the such as the origin of the entities indicated as being from an exterior galaxy, and later on the 12 planets of the Milky Way, which for us is the most interior of all galaxies. This naturally doesn't mean that Peter doesn't know the story on his subconscious uh, by these extraterrestrial beings or others. Anyways, this point is very important because it tells us how it was able to create a clear image over the meaning of these contacts. Guys, hope you enjoyed it. This was a very big one. Next chapter is gonna be 27th. Love you guys very much. Okay, I hope skilled. Good to see you. I hope I haven't forgotten anyone. Okay, guys. Professional, big hugs. Duke City Crew. Cool Gamer, my awesome brother. Big Chief, love you, brother. Bosco. Skies, my awesome brother. Oh, damn, Bud Files. Heather, oh, Heather, here you are, my awesome sister. Good to see you. Mama Bear, really nice to have you today. Tim Windsor, big hugs. Susanna, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the story. I'm gonna go now, get myself ready, and eat something because I have music with my kids. Anthony, my awesome brother. Great to have you, brother. Hope you guys are having a blessed Monday. And Michelle, my awesome sister, big hugs as well. Big hugs to my friends, Gorilla Gamer, Wally, Jim Bro, Susan A, Susie B, Dog Man, I know you're there, brother. My awesome fishing friends, Anthony J. I will be watching your shorts, brother. They're very cool. Just don't fall in the water, please. Guys, next case is gonna be called Next case is gonna be called One Case of Tele Transport Not Well Known. Okay, guys? It's gonna be a wonderful case. Okay? Thank you very much for being. This is the book we're reviewing, guys. We're kind of half of the book. It's getting very, very interesting, guys. We're getting deep on the subject, and I hope we all learn something. And remember, guys, maybe after you watch this, you may start watching some stuff in the sky, okay, guys? That's what happened to me. Okay? Stay blessed. John P loves you. See you on the next one, okay, guys? Sending everybody positive vibes and sunny days and a lot of business to everybody, okay? This guy's my brother. We're gonna have to do a DJ session. We can do that if you want for... Wait a second. Not Wednesday. Wednesday I'm busy. Maybe Thursday. Maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow morning I'll see if you're on. I'll post something on my community, Skies, and if you're around, check my community page when you wake up.